everyone, it's Kathy here from Bello's Designs, and today we're going to be using some of the new release stamps from Lavinia to create this card with a bokeh effect background and a brightly coloured owl. Right, so for this project you're going to need a piece of multifarious card that is cut 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 in size, so that it will just mount onto a 5x7 card. I'm not going to have any backing card on this at all. I'm just going to do a solid background with a bit of edging, so it looks fine. And because of the size of the owl, I think it's nice to have a bit more room. So you're going to need that. The stamps that we're going to use are the LAV 800 Gus, LAV 811 Vine Branch, the LAV 814 Nightfall, and we're going to use the word Hoot. And I also used the white orb stencil from Lavinia for the bokeh effect, and I'm using my Misty today for the stamping because it's quite a large object and I want to make sure I get a good solid background. For the background I'm going to be using Lavinia Truffle and Sahara. They are element inks, and I've got the 2 stencil brushes for that. I'm also going to add a little bit of the Distress Oxide Scattered Straw and I have a blending tool for that. I'm going to be using 4 watercolour pens in pink, yellow, orange and blue. And then I have a couple of gel pens in a bronze and a gold, and a black Posca pen that I'm going to use for the owl's eyes to darken them a little bit. Also, I'm going to be using the truffle as a watercolour on the top of the owl's head. So here, and the branch. So I'm going to water that down. So you need a spritz bottle and a little paintbrush for that. And I also, about an hour or so ago, excuse me, about an hour or so ago, I got a baby wipe out and I left it out on the side just to get damp so that it's not soaking wet, so that I can use that in my bokeh effect. Right, so let's get started. I'm going to start by... I'm going to start this way, and I'm going to do the owl first. Use these magnets here. And he faces that way, so I want to make sure that I've got plenty of room for him. So let's put that on there for now. And we have the stamp. Which goes that way. I want him to be about there. Take the acetate off. And then I'm going to stamp it with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Putting quite a lot of ink on this stamp. This is actually quite an old ink, so it's not very juicy, so I'm going to make sure that there's plenty on there. Does anyone else have a black hole in their craft room? Because I do. I've got an e-inker somewhere, and do you think I could find it this morning? It's gone into the black hole. So that's quite a good image. I don't need to restamp that, so that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. So now we need to turn our owl around. So you can take that off. And now I've got a bit of ink on the side of the card. Let's just give that a little gentle rub. I must have a bit of ink on my finger somewhere. And I have, it's on my thumb. Right. Now there's no ink left on my hands. All being well, this should all be fine. Happens to us all. Right, there we go. Now I'm going to use just a stamping block, I think, for for the vine. And again, I'm going to use the Nocturne. You can see I've got a purple stain on my vine branch. I think I'd had it for maybe 20 minutes, and I put it down to use, and I lifted a bit of brush on that was paint in paint form, and it stained it, so I couldn't get it off. So I've got to live with that now. So now I'm going to try and position this just so the owl's claws are on the top. And just hold that down for a moment. There we go. I just wanted to make sure that we could see the owl's claws. Right, now we're going to start on our background. I'm going to do the Hoot afterwards when I've finished. So I'm going to start with the Sahara. This is quite a juicy ink, so I'm going to put quite a lot off in the lid. And I'm going to start off the edge of the card too, so the bulk of it will go there. Right there. Now, as you saw, I didn't make too much of a fuss. I don't mind the odd bit being darker because we are going to go for a background, and some of the ink will be lifted off anyway, so it doesn't have to be really, really smooth. So next I'm going to use some of the truffle. And I'm putting some of the truffle onto my mat. I've got a glass mat and that. So again, I'm starting off the edge of the paper and then just going around the edges. Right, so before I actually paint the owl, I'm going to do the background now. So I'm just going to get my baby wipe and the Orbs stencil. Excuse me. My mine have drawn out because it's quite a hot day here. Mine are drying out a little bit too much, so I've just dampened it with a little bit of water. Just a little bit to Right, that's enough with the ink lifting part. So I'm now going to use a little bit, just a small bit of scattered straw. Hold the stencil over and just roughly go over some of the circles. And it just gives an extra colour in the background there. Right. So now I'm going to put a little bit of, spray a little bit of water in the lid and get my paintbrush. I'm going to use this for painting the branch and the top of the owl's head. To now do the bits around his eyes because I'd like those to be brown too. Now I'm going to use the yellow to go around the edges of the eye. Now at this point I'll use the black Posca, so if there's any bits of his eyes that are not really strong, I'll just go over them. There we go. Now I'm going to use the orange. The orange is going to go around this, around the edge of the face and in his belly. Do pink for his eyebrows. To his claws yellow. going to start with the blue. Next we're going to use the little word Hoot to stamp using the VersaFine Clair. Hoot. Hoot. And the last bit is the gel pen. A bit of gold around the eyes. Done. Not particularly long card, but quite effective. So let's just find my card base and my glue. Just going to get rid of that piece of paper now. My glasses off so I can see a bit better. I know that didn't make sense, but it made sense to me. I just need my glasses for doing very detailed work. So there we go, there we have it. Hoot hoot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that useful, and if you haven't already joined our Facebook groups, please consider joining our 2 Facebook groups. We have Del Bello's a la carte lounge for all products non-Lavinia, and we have the Del Bello's Designs Lounge for all products that are Lavinia. So you're very welcome to join us there, and it would be nice to see you. So thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.